Hello and welcome everybody to another installment of Golden Gooner TV, guys. First of all, before we get started on the video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's get the likes up for this video. Before we get started, guys, I also want to give a big shout out to my guys at Goonercast SA, who have obviously helped me out with some of my content over the past few weeks. And I'm so happy to welcome back some of the guys from our preview show, and we also have a new guest. So, obviously, guys, from last week, we have Dane in the top right corner. We have Rams just below him, and then making his Golden Guna TV debut is George, guys, in the bottom corner below me. So, without further ado, guys, North London is red. North London is still
It sure
red.
is. It sure
Listen,
is.
I think everybody is, you just have that extra bounce, guys. You watch the highlights again today. We just won 1-0, but you watch the highlights of the game again. Just watch us beat Spurs. I think when you get that North London derby win, especially away from home against Spurs, I think it just tastes that much sweeter. And George, obviously, I want to start with you. What did you make of the game yesterday? What did you make of the result? How are you feeling, bro, after the
I
North
don't
London
know.
derby?
I watched it in Soweto, so it's not with other people. When I was there, I couldn't concentrate too much on the game. But like what I picked up, everyone says the Spuds had not many chances, but it's more us closing down teams. I just suddenly realised that we've had three games, and the one goal we've conceded in those three games is when Rice was sent off and we were out of position. But it's more, we closed down teams so well. So I was very impressed with our defensive record. It was amazing. Like it's like watching the Arsenal of old sometimes. You know the way we close down teams and then win at set pieces. We know with a Tony Adams header instead it's Gabriel now. So yeah, and it's fantastic. I am a bit worried about going forward. If this is going to be the whole season. I mean, look, if we're going to drum up, like one or two goals, like that's going to be our thing. Then right, fair enough. But in terms of attacking flair, we just seem a bit sort of. We seem a bit sort of. We're not getting, we're not really getting that many chances. So maybe against Man City and all those other teams, they might capitalise on that. But we'll see. I'm very happy with the result. To be honest, can I say something though? I don't care that much about the Spuds. It's more Chelsea's and all that sort of thing. Who cares? Chelsea's like an annoying little brother. It's like we beat them. So what? So anyway, but it is the Spuds.
Nah, perfect. I can hear that there's a lot of passion, a lot of joy after that win. And George, just to touch on something you said about will this be our style of play? I think if you look at it, we're doing the exact same thing we did at the first half of last season. Was just like we almost look like we're not playing well, but we're still getting wins. It's like, and then you see second half of last season where we switched gears and we were able to score 5, 6, 7, or not 7, but you know what I'm saying, that we were able to really score a lot of goals. So I don't know if it's for example, yesterday's performance is purely based off the squad we have. I don't think it's a tactic. I think Arteta has a bit more balance from last season, just in my opinion. But yeah, we move on to Dane. Dane, bro. Sorry, George. Dane, what did you think of the performance yesterday, bro? How are you feeling? I know you actually predicted a draw for this game, so to get a win must be a really good feeling.
Yes, I'm very happy. Nice surprise with the lineup that we had and kind of the tensions before and dropping points the week before. So yeah, it's always good to be on the bounce and beat the Spuds. I think that our midfield was looking a bit light. I think they were running through our midfield quite a bit, so I was a bit worried about that. But we defended as a team. I mean, Martinelli and Saka really helped, especially at the back. And the way we closed down and blocked their shots was just unbelievable. We really just are so solid. I don't know if you guys saw the distance between Solanke when he was free, and then when Saliba closed him down. The speed that he closed him down with was just crazy. So Saliba and Gabriel especially were immense. It's 3 wins in a row against the Spuds away from home, so that's massive. I think we've won more games at their new stadium in 5 years than they've won in 13 years at the Emirates. So it's crazy.
Crazy. That actually is crazy, bro. Look, I also have to say, that defensive record, guys. I was looking at a stat earlier, and I'm sure I posted into one of the group chats. It was like Arsenal away from home in 2024 have not trailed once. For a single minute, we have not been behind. Guys, I don't think you actually fathom that stat. Like, we haven't,
amazing.
we went to an away ground and not trailed. not conceded, not trailed. It just makes you, it just shows that defensively away from home, Arteta is able to really get the players buying into whatever system he's got for that match. He's very much the one to say one game at a time, one game at a time. And look at yesterday's
Yeah,
tactics. To agree, I think one game at a time. I don't have the players that I would like to outplay them, but what I can bank on is my sturdy defense and the fact that Spurs are super poor on set pieces. And I think that's what that worked out perfectly for us yesterday. I think when you predicted 1-1, then I get you. I almost understood your reservation because you would expect Spurs to take the game to us, but they didn't have that many chances yesterday. First off, they had the normal day at home against us. It's a derby, those kind of early half chances. But I can't think of moments where I felt under pressure from Spurs. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think I've got to give Arteta and the players a lot of credit for the away performance that they've once again produced. Unbeaten away from home, having played the teams we played. You played at Old Trafford. You played at White Hart Lane twice. You played at the Etihad. You played at Villa Park. And you haven't lost.
It's
And you
crazy.
didn't even. I don't think we did not concede against United. Did not concede against City. Did not concede against Villa. Okay, we conceded against Spurs, but we never trailed. So I think guys, defensively, obviously we'll get to that, but I just think yesterday's performance was so immaculate for different reasons that you wouldn't normally associate with Arsenal.
Yeah. Sorry, just to go
So
to the stats. So you mentioned they didn't have a lot of shots. They had 5 shots on target. We had 4. They had 15 shots in total. So they had a lot of shots, but not a lot on target. And then we had 7 shots in total.
and
And
about 5 on target for us.
we blocked 6 of their shots. That's crazy. So it's like we were just throwing our body in the line.
I think they did have chances towards in the first 20, 25 minutes. I mean, Raya made an amazing, great save. So I think that could have gone the other way. Don't forget, if I hadn't done that touch save, from was it who was it from? Kolasinac, was it?
Kulusevski.
Kolasinac.
Classic.
The spud player. What I was going to say is, had he not saved it, the game could have gone, the other way. We could have been under pressure. So I think we got a lot to say, to thank as well for Raya, and that's what worries me. These games where the other team has more clinical finishes, and those sort of things might go against us. Then we concede, and then we have to push up, and then we get exposed. So I think playing this way is great. But let's just wait and see how it goes, for these bigger teams. Man City, obviously, on the next Sunday is the biggest test, and that's the one we really got to, if we can get through that, then I guess we can get through anything. Yeah,
I have to agree. Rams, bro, it's been about 10 minutes. I just want to get you in onto the discussion. I want to hear what are your thoughts, bro. I think you were quite confident going into this game. You really had chest, but you were quite confident that we'd get the result, and the boys got the result. Maybe not in the way that everyone expected, but a game against a big six opponent away from home, you take the 3 points anyway. So yeah, bro, what are your thoughts on the game? How are you feeling after that result?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Bosa Bird Review. Shout out to you, Dane, and all the Arsenal fans that came through to the spot. It was an amazing experience. I might still be hungover from all the drinks that we had out there. But yeah, it was great seeing all these passionate fans come through and show love and support to the team. It took me back to the Brazen Head days. And on the game, yeah, I thought we had a shaky start, to the game. Tottenham had a lot of the ball, and
Mm.
they were applying a lot of pressure on us. But after about 20, 25 minutes, I think we kind of grew into the game and showed our defensive stability. I also like to say that obviously I predicted 2-0 because I'm quite confident in our defense. It's shown over the years that we solid, and we technically, actually not even technically, we are the best defensive team in the league, and it showed again yesterday. It was not by the stretch of the imagination and an attacking performance or an exciting game to watch. But I would say that it was quite great seeing Arsenal defend like that. And again, the reason why I was so confident about us being able to get one over off them is because if you look at a combined 11 between Spurs and Arsenal, pretty much only one player has a shot of getting in, and that's Son. Everybody else
Depends on
is
the
not
odds.
getting anywhere near that team. So yeah, so I think that's part of the reason why I was so confident in that. I also felt that the gents had, I think overall we had sevens or sixes across the game. And I need to shout out Timber. Timber had an amazing game. I think he's shown that he's exactly what we needed last season. And again, I maintain that if we had that guy in the team last season, we probably win the league. I hope he stays fit, and yeah, he's still got a lot to show us, and I'm confident that he'll be that guy that kind of shows up everything for us in the defense. And a big shout out to Gabriel Saliba and Ben White. Yeah, I think that kind of covers my kind of synopsis of the game. I guess we'll get into the detail around the defense and everything else later on in the stream.
100%. So actually, Rams, the fact that you obviously, you mentioned you mentioned Turnberg, Gabriel, Saliba, it actually brings us to obviously our next point, which is um, the defensive display that the team showed yesterday. And when you speak of Turnberg was my man of the match until Gabriel scored, and then I just felt okay, it just makes sense to give Gabriel man of the match. But I think Turnberg had an excellent game. The fact that he's a right-footed centre back / fullback, or playing on the left on the opposite flank. But what he gave us going forward yesterday as well, he linked up really well with Martinelli. Defensively, he was assured, but he just had that passion.
Yeah.
And it's like, it wasn't, it depends. Some people might say it's over the top, but I don't consider it. I mean, that 50-50 with Pedro Parro was never a yellow card.
Yeah. Never.
On slow motion, maybe you can say that, but if you actually look at it, he gets the ball completely first.
He got the ball.
And then,
Pretty much got
momentum,
the ball.
momentum, bro. You know what I'm saying? And, that incident with Vicario and stuff is what we want to see from our players, is that Arsenal for too many years are always bullied and pushed aside. And I don't think rivals, fans, and pundits like that we can give it back now. And we're a good team that we actually, our fans, guys, Arteta, in my opinion, is completely okay with us being pragmatic, and people saying, you parked the bus and you were not a good. Mourinho got bloated for it. Chelsea won a Champions League doing that. So ultimately, I need my manager to do what's right for my club. I don't care what the pundits say. So I think when you look at the defensive guys, and Arteta, if you look at him as a manager, has invested the most money in goalkeepers and defenders. We keep crying out for this attacking, sorry, Rams, we keep crying out for these attacking players, but I think we don't understand that Arteta is a coach that is building, or he builds these teams from the back. We think that he's an Arsenal manager, so he needs to play according to the Wenger style football. He's more George Graham. We can play and turn it up when we can, but 1-0 to the Arsenal, guys. You know how good that feels when it's like you can't even score one goal against us. And it's frustrating. You can't score against us. That's what I think. So, George, let me bring you back in, bro. What did you think of the defensive performance from Arsenal, as obviously individual players, but as an entire squad yesterday?
No, I thought as a unit they play as a unit in unison. It's amazing. I just want to ask Rams. I mean, everyone talks about Timber's amazing defense. And I agree, he's been solid. But I'm curious because I seem to be in the minority, but he's not inverting enough. I mean, he's. I know that's probably what Arteta's telling him to stay back. And I think just going back to what you're saying about not being pushed off the ball, I thought the Villa game really showed that, because they were really going for us physically, and we really pushed back and we showed them what we're made of. And just going back to quickly what you said, Shannon, before, is that I from day one, when everyone was not complaining but saying Arteta's not going to make this team, I said, because we watched 10 years or 15 years of Wenger's defensive blunders, I said, no way. Even when we finished 8th, I thought I could see he was building from the back. And I thought, and he went from defence to midfield and then to attack. And I thought, I've always thought that, the best teams, Arsenal's always been a defence, that George Graham era, or going back into, the past, has always been our style of play. Wenger is the aberration in many ways. So I was always happy with it, almost relieved that we brought back that defensive, that defensive strength.
Yes.
Yeah, just going back to Timber, I'm curious, Rams. He was brought in to invert. Now, I personally, especially against Brighton, he doesn't. I mean, I think it's actually an instruction, but he doesn't seem to be overloading the midfield as much as say Zinchenko does, and that's why we got rid of Kieran Tierney, because he was, he's a solid defender, but he wasn't inverting. Great defender, as I said, Timber. And probably better than Kieran Tierney as a defender, but he's not inverting. I don't know whether that's an instruction, or what do you think, Rams? I'm curious. Do you think that's something that he's not doing enough, or yeah?
Yeah, so just to start off, there's a saying in basketball which says defense wins championships, and we've seen with the team so far that we built a very solid defense, and it's pretty much almost it's difficult for other teams to kind of penetrate. And on your question around Timber, I think it's an instruction. I'm more than convinced that it's an instruction. I've seen Timber play in preseason and in other games where he's inverted and done that quite well and to a high level. We know he's also got offensive capabilities. He may
Yeah.
look unassuming, but he's an extremely physical player. He's a strong boy. So I think we had to play with what we had today on the day because I guess we're light. Over time, we'll get to see Timber get into that position a lot more, and I guess in games that were a little bit more comfortable, he'll be a little bit more adventurous. But for now, I think we had to play the game the way we played it yesterday, without risking too much to allow Spurs to kind of get in the back. So for me, it will come. Let's give it time and see what happens. But I'm confident that he's got the capability to do it. Maybe not at the level that Zinchenko does, but again, the defensive news is the most important thing for me, and he's got it.
I
I
think,
just want
okay,
to just bring up.
sorry, Shannon.
Sorry,
Go on.
I just want to bring up this comment here from Sibu Sisu that says Timber doesn't invert as nicely and lacks the pass between the lines as Zini, but he's but he's good down the line as he was yesterday, and I saw him play well there for the Dutch national team. What I would say on the Timber thing, guys, is that we must also remember Timber's playing on his weaker side. So he's not going to do things maybe from a playmaking perspective as he would on the right hand side. If you guys remember the game at the end of last season against Everton and in the game against Leverkusen, was it Leverkusen in the Emirates Cup? Or was it Lyon when Timber played as a right fullback? If you just watch him when he's playing on the right hand side, how much more comfortable he is on the ball, taking risks. When you're on your weaker side, he's thinking to himself, I'm on my weaker side. I just need to keep it simple. I can't, my angles are different. I can't really do and play the game that I would like. What I will say, though, is because of Ben White's good form and Timber's availability now and his technical skill, he's more defensively solid than maybe some of the other fullbacks. He's a better Tommy Yasu. Tommy is decent on the ball, versatile. Timber for me just looks much more assured in everything he does. He looks quicker, looks stronger. He's good on the ball. So in terms of Timber, I wouldn't stress so much about his ability to invert, especially when, for example, in my opinion, like yesterday's game, you have two players in Partey and Jorginho who are going to take up the similar spaces as what an inverted fullback would. With Declan Rice coming back in, I think you maybe see Timber invert a bit more. But I think for now, I think what I actually want from Timber is just to be a solid player. You will add his extras as he gets his fitness and as time goes on. I should bring Dane back in, guys. I want to find out from him what he thought about our defensive performance yesterday and who his standout players were, obviously defensively as well.
Yeah, I was listening to what you guys were saying about Timber, and what Spusiso said as well. Like he's better at carrying than passing, whereas Zini is going to give you that incisive pass through the lines. Timber is going to carry through the lines. So I think that's the difference. And I think he was getting into quite advanced positions. I think that because I think we were playing a double pivot, I don't think he needed to invert as much. With Partey and Jorginho being there. So there was already like that cover in the midfield, even though I do think our midfield was overloaded and kind of run through a bit, especially in the first half. I think that it was an instruction for Timber to get down the line more and also be there to help Martinelli on the left. And yeah, we had a bit of purchase down the left, so it was good. I don't know if it was because Odegaard was missing on the right that we felt more comfortable to go down the left. But it's interesting. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think Timber's so versatile. I think that's what's great about him is he can invert and he can bomb down the left. But obviously, yeah, as you said, it's not his strong foot, so it's going to be difficult for him to put in those crosses, etc. on the left.
I think just to jump in, I think it was good to see more play down the left. I think you're absolutely spot on, Dane, that Without Martin Odegaard, we go down. We like the right more because he's on the right side, and I think that the whole point about the summer transfer window was to correct the left side. Calafiori, Marino. It was to bring more play down the left. So it will be more balanced, and seeing as we're so wing heavy, well, on the rely on the wingers. I think when Marino comes back, and we might see more action from Timber. But I agree exactly with both what you said actually with Rams and Shannon. Actually, what you said about he's on the wrong side, and maybe hopefully we'll see him invert a bit more because I thought the midfield, even not just this game against Brighton, and even against was it Villa. That we left massive spaces in the middle. We seem to be getting caught out. They seem, before we were controlling that midfield space, and at the moment, they seem to be able to. The game opens up and they run at us through the middle, and then we close them down in defence. So I don't know. Okay, this is my question. I was surprised with the beginning of the season. I thought against Wolves, win 4-0. We'd go for it, but we seem to have reverted back to a much more cautious style. And in general, not just about Timber now, this is a more general conversation. And I was quite surprised by the way we're playing. And everyone's going on about defensive, prowess, which is great. And I'm so happy and relieved for it. But I am still surprised that we're not more, against Wolves, even Brighton, we're not at home. We're not attacking them more, we're not. Yeah, sorry. That's my big surprise.
So George, I actually want to on the point that you bring up there is more just to say that do you not think that Arteta is looking at it like the first 5 to 10 games is just about points? Is it just about, okay, let's just try get as many points? The fact that our next home game is after City. It's I think it's Bolton in the Carabao Cup. It's been a while since we've been at the Emirates, guys. We played, we finished with Brighton obviously before the international break. Had the internationals, have 3 away games. I think Arteta's probably looking at it. What? First 5 games, three of them away from home. If I can get a minimum of 7 points from the 3 away games, that's a great return, which we are currently on course for, So I just think in terms of style of play, I think Arteta, again, we spoke about it on the last show, every single season he learns from his mistakes. And I think what he's seeing is that, against Spurs, when he doesn't have the players available, I think they banked on the set pieces. I generally think that was, you could see when they celebrated that goal, it wasn't a goal of relief, it was a goal of, that's it. We were waiting for that moment. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think with Atalanta and City, the next 2 away games, I don't care if Arteta is the most pragmatic shithouse coach out there. If we come away with a 1-0 against Atalanta and a 1-0 against Man City, this fan base will lose their minds. Purely because of a mental hurdle that we actually want our teams to get over. It's not really the performances, guys. Arsenal, we know we can play good football. I don't think we need to doubt that. I just think Arteta is genuinely now just thinking to himself, I'm at a point now where I need to really balance when we, again, shift gears. Do we need to be really good? And it depends. Liverpool, a couple of seasons ago when they won the league, they blitzed the league in the beginning. Maybe Arteta thinks to himself, maybe I know City peak at the second half of the season. If I can peak the same, having kept the solid foundation we have defensively, maybe I can get over the line again. Because when I peak too early, I ran out of steam. I've got Champions League now to worry about again, second season. People want me to win the cups. Arsenal fans are not going to be happy if we get knocked out in the first round of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. So he's got such a fine line in terms of the success that people will rate him and the failure. So I think with Arteta, I think for me, he's earned my trust. So whatever he's going to do, I'm going to trust for now, in my opinion.
Shannon didn't say. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead, George.
No, just quickly, just want to say quickly, Shannon, me and you on the same page about learning from mistakes, about, and I actually agree with exactly what you said. I think if you can think about it, if we'd lost 1-0 to any of the first few teams, can you imagine what that would have done to our confidence at such an early pivotal stage, critical stage with all, the Champions League and Man City and the Spuds away. So I think you're right. It's actually better to be cautious, and I actually take your point. And what I want to see from him in the Champions League, by the way, is that same caution. I think, like you said, I've watched him learn from his mistakes in midfield, whatever, and then he always corrects it and he gets it right. So I thought last year, the first leg against Bayern, he played like he lined up like he was playing against Brentford or something. It was way too cavalier. So I just want to see, even though it's Atlanta, I want to see that same approach in the Champions League. As he's learnt in the Premiership. And can I just quickly say, the reason I say Kolasinac instead of Kolochevsky is because Kolasinac now, ex-Arsenal, is playing for Atlanta. We're going to be playing him on Thursday. So I had him on my mind anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, I just
Anyway.
wanted to add to what you said there, Shannon. I'm in full agreement with you, and I think we saw the same last season. We took a slightly measured approach to the first half of the season, and we only really saw the best of Arsenal in the second half of the season. And I think that's lessons from 21, 22, where we had
100%.
this amazing start,
Yeah.
and then we lost a bit of steam to the end. And like you said, he learns from his mistakes, and he's probably learned from that as well. So I don't think we can expect to see the most exciting display from Arsenal in the first half of the season. We'll only get to see that towards the end of the season. But the most important thing right now is to get the results, and that's what we've been doing. No one would have thought that. I think we could have probably thought we'd win these games, but it's a very difficult start for us, and we probably should be very proud to be 10 points up, I
Unbeaten.
think,
And
and
unbeaten, guys.
unbeaten.
We
Yeah,
haven't lost. Like, for,
yeah,
for all the calamity around the club, we haven't lost a game. Conceded one
absolutely.
goal. Like
Yeah,
you genuinely think that Arsenal were having some sort of insane meltdown, and I think that's what the fan base needs to do this season: is have a mentality shift, guys. We are a good team, and I said this in the last stream. It's like I need Arsenal fans, even if we lose, have chest. That thing where you trust what your team. You've seen enough of a sample to know, okay, if Arteta is going to go away from home, you can expect a sturdy defensive performance, and depending on the opposition as well, if they give us space, we can utilize it. We can score lots of goals. We were missing a lot of creativity yesterday in terms of the control that we have of the game. To be able to create, you need to be able to control the game. So, you
Yeah.
didn't have Odegaard there yesterday to really dictate play. So, again, like I said, with Arsenal fans, I think have a bit more confidence and just be patient, guys. It's only game week 4. Nothing was won or lost now. Maybe mentally you would think of how it could affect the team in the next results afterwards. But I mean, a win against Spurs only leaves me with more confidence that we can get results in our next 2 games. Are we guaranteed? No. But do I think the team has a much higher fighting chance than what I thought maybe years ago? Definitely. And I just want to obviously just go back to the original point here, obviously talking about our defensive display and the players that stood out, guys. I think it's safe to say that we have arguably the best defensive pairing, a centre back pairing in Europe. Stats and even eye test. I don't know if you guys agree with me there. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Anyone is
agree.
welcome to take.
I'll jump in. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the fact that we've played 10 away, or it's 11 away games, we've won 10. We've conceded 3 only in 2024, and we've scored, I think, 30 or something goals, 30 or 33, something like that. I can't remember the stat. I'll look for it. And the fact that we also had only 36% possession on Sunday, so we're winning games without possession, which is really interesting. We played Spurs the same way that we did last year. They actually had more possession, and we just hit them on the counter. But then I think you're right. We banked on that, the goal from the set pieces, because Spurs are one. I think they conceded the third most or something like that goals from set pieces last year in the Premier League. So we knew Vicario wasn't going to come and claim that ball, so we planned it. I'm telling you, I agree. I think they celebrated like this is a plan that came together type of goal, and it's very interesting. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was going back to the point about us kind of starting the season a bit boring, is that the hardest fixtures for us are in the first 12 games. So I think it's all about pragmatism. It's all about getting points. And then, as you guys were saying, that last year we learned from our mistakes of 22-23, where we went out strong and then we faded. Now I think we have learned, like City do, they start kind of a little slow and then they go strong at the end. I think that's something that we'll see from us again this year, is that we're going to start slow, just get the points, get the results, and not be flashy. But by the time January comes and our Dubai break comes again, we'll have the magic in us and we'll be doing great things and scoring lots of goals.
Can I just say one thing? Look, I totally agree with you, Shannon. You're preaching to the choir about fans moaning too much, and like you think we're going through a crisis. And just to add to that, I came off a few groups, English ones, when last year when we lost to Fulham and West Ham in December, and then they started calling for Mourinho to start back because he'd just been sacked by Roma. I was like, nah, this is enough of me. You're right, Arsenal fans can be something else, but okay, this is my thing. I totally agree with what you're saying. We have to start cautiously, but my worry is that because Man City he's feeling that Man City are going to have a perfect season, he's now getting too cautious himself. He thinks, I cannot lose 1 point. because he's going to be cautious because he's so worried about Man City's perfect run the whole season, and he's going to be, just worried about going forward and opening up in case for the whole season, because he saw it be lost by 2 points last year. So, look, I hope so. I hope another trip to Dubai sorts them out and they come back and they start scoring goals. And I agree with you, start slow and steady. But I'm also worried that he's going to play it cautiously the whole year because he's worried about losing a single point, because that's what it takes now to beat Man City. Yeah.
Look, George, I think we've kind of discussed the top, but I think just to close the the way Arsenal have approached the season, what I think is that Arteta is, like I said, I think it's just game by game, guys. With City, if you're gonna look too far ahead, you're gonna lose sight of what's happening. I think, then we've beaten Spurs. Next is Atalanta, and just focus on that. We've got, it's just. I think if Arteta's gonna think about what City are doing, I think as fans we're doing that. We're looking at Haaland scoring hat tricks, guys. Just for example's sake, if we beat City on Sunday, we go first, right? They are not out of reach. They're only 2 points ahead of us, and they are playing, in my opinion, not their best, but they're playing to this is what City do. No, we people aren't sure of what we're doing. We're scraping through wins, but we're not scraping through.
You're not
We know we've got
scraping.
4 games. Exactly, George. You know what I'm saying? So I think maybe Arteta's looking at it is I don't have a Haaland, but they don't have a Saliba. So that's why I think we are the better defensive unit as them. They've conceded a lot of goals. They've conceded in every game this season. We just don't have that striker that scores hat tricks every game. But 3 points is 3 points, and yes, goal difference might come to play. But I don't think goal difference will separate these two teams, in my opinion. I think it will be a points difference. And again, the onus is on City to beat us on Sunday. We're going to the Etihad. We beat them last season at the Emirates. We did our job. They need to beat us. We don't have to beat them. We might still be 2 points behind, but I think that, again, like Dane was saying, first 12 games are super tough. Get the maximum points that you possibly can. If you go undefeated, let's say you win 8, draw 4, or win 9, draw 3, you're going to be somewhere in a good state. And I think, that actually brings me, like I said, to my next point is I think Arteta, guys, I think he needs to get a lot of credit for manufacturing a third successive away win at Spurs. I think that's something that, as an Arsenal fan, you always check when you're playing Spurs home and away. And the fact that you can not necessarily bank on it, but 3 in a row gives me confidence for when we play Spurs again, for example, or when we play Liverpool, or we play City. It's we are still able to beat the big 6 teams like last season. We didn't beat Villa, but we've beaten Spurs again this season. We beat Villa, So going into the City game, I think, George, you were saying about Arteta overthinking it. I think Arteta might actually give Pep something to think about, where he's Pep probably thinking to himself, I didn't score against this guy in 3 attempts last season. Oh no, he did. They scored in the Community Shield, but home and away in the league, they did score. There's only 1 goal between the teams, 1-0 at Emirates, 0-0 at Etihad. But Rams, bro, do you think Arteta deserves a lot of credit for that result, or do you think it was more like the team, the way they grinded it out, or do we think it's a contribution more from a tactical side?
Look, it's a combination of both. I mean, we've seen that Arteta's tactically elite. He's probably up there with the best in the world right now. And I don't want to hear these Emery Arteta comparisons anymore, because Arteta's clear. He's shown that he had a difficult team to kind of put together for this weekend, and he managed to garner the win against a rival, and a very solid win to add. So there's no doubt about his ability from a tactical perspective, and I also think that the players deserve a lot of credit for what they've done. They're the guys actually down there on the pitch doing the work, but I think they executed the manager's plan to a T. So from that standpoint, I think we should be proud of both. And again, there's no reason for us to believe we can't beat City. We've played them 3 times last year. We beat them twice and drew once. So I think we need to go there with confidence, with chest, like you say, Shannon, because we have the capability, and I think pound for pound, there's not much in difference between us and City, apart from perhaps squad depth. But if we have our best 11 out there and they've got theirs, I mean, it's going to be a dogfight, and anyone can actually get into it.
100%. So George, let me bounce back to you, bro. I've seen a lot of people, and we spoke about it in the previous show. Arteta signed the new contract. What better way to crown that moment than with a North London derby win? Just for all the Arteta outers and he's not that good, whatever. again, when
Are
when
there
when, when,
Are
when
any Arteta out people left?
sorry, George, what you say?
Are there any Arteta out people left? Can you
I mean,
send me the numbers?
but I mean, I think Arteta again, guys, just proves that year on year he's turning doubters into believers. And I think what George, just going and asking your opinion on that. Do you think Arteta is now really showing the level of manager that he is? To be able to go there with an extremely thin and weakened side to your direct local rivals and then come out away with a win.
Is that directed to me or Dane? Sorry.
No, sorry, George, that's for you. That's for you, bro. That's for you, George.
Okay, sorry. So sorry. Can you read? Sorry, man. The last bit I thought it was to Dane. It's just that you sorry.
No, no problem. So I was basically saying, do you think
Yeah.
Arteta is now at a level and showing exactly what he did over the weekend? Having a thin squad, still getting a win. People need to definitely give him his props. As one of the best managers in the league, maybe even in Europe.
I was just about to make that point. See, you jumped in right at the end. I think in the league, absolutely. I still think Pep's up there. I mean, you can't say he's better than Pep. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Sure,
He's learned. What I love about Arteta is okay. Going back to the quickly Emery thing, I think Emery is good at having a small club. He's got a template for a small club. Goes in, knows what to do. But with Arsenal, you needed a root change, complete overhaul from top to bottom. Josh came in. He's much more hands-on. Edu, he took over the transfers, making sure the contracts didn't run down. Blah blah blah. So I think it wasn't just Arteta at us. It was Arsenal needed a complete overhaul. I think Arteta is tactically great. I think he has learned. What would I say? I think attacking, going back to look, he's great. I don't want to, I love him, but I just think attacking, he still has two things to learn. And I think in Europe, he's still a bit naive. I go back to that first leg against Bayern. But I do not doubt for a second he will learn. And that's why I'm so fascinated by this Atlanta game coming up, because I think he will show us, especially away from home, from what appears to be a smaller team in Europe. I really want to see how he sets up, whether he's defensive. And I want to see how he plays, because I think that will be crucial for his development in terms of a manager. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he's got a long-term plan. He's stuck to it, and where he's made mistakes, he's been very quick to change them, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And this last point, we all wanted him to buy a striker in summer, but look what he's done. Instead he's trying to fix the left side. And in hindsight, I think that was a much more important thing to do, especially now we know the whole Paul Martinelli getting so much criticism from some fans. We really do Mourinho. When Mourinho comes in, I think we're going to see a different side to that whole left side and even Martinelli's game. So I think he knows what to do, knows what to focus. He doesn't listen to anyone else, and he's got a plan, and he's slowly heading there. But Europe is his big thing for me. If he wants to be a great manager, he has to, like Pep, he has to do it in Europe.
100%. Dane, just your thoughts, bro. Obviously on Arteta, I see a comment here from Spoo that says Dane is a believer now after doubting that we'll win. I don't think it was doubt. I just think it was more just seeing what we had available to us. It wasn't really that it was like a doubt from Dane. He was purely going off the team news, etc. But Dane, obviously, you can back your chat. But in terms of Arteta, bro, obviously we're speaking on him now. Do you think that he pulled off a masterclass over the weekend, or do you think this is actually just what Arteta does, guys? We should just accept that he's able to maneuver these kind of occasions.
I think it just goes back to that he's made us more dynamic. We used to try and beat teams based solely on attack and creativity, and I think we've got that in the locker. But he's made us steely, and he's made us impenetrable in defense, and then with increasing the size of our players by signing big players season after season, he's made us more menacing in the set pieces, and then also just defending. We're winning more duels. Then he signed Marino, who's like the best duel winner in Europe. He signed Havertz when he was actually winning a lot of duels at Chelsea. Like his numbers weren't good. He's like assists and goal numbers weren't good, but he was winning duels, and he was actually Tuchel brought a side of his game. I saw it in a piece on Havertz that Havertz was really good at attacking at Leverkusen, but he became a better defensive and an all-round player at Chelsea, even though he wasn't getting as many attacking numbers. So Tuchel brought that aspect to his game, and then Arteta saw now he's more of a complete player, and I can reinvigorate the attacking side. So I'm really excited to see what Arteta does with Sterling. I'm really excited to see what he does with Calafiori. So yeah, I'm excited. I think he is a genius, as many people have said. And I think it's more like I saw this really interesting video from the Different Knock, which is a really great YouTube channel in England. They said that the only worries that they have is that Arteta hasn't really managed big personalities, and he seems to be very systems focused. So whereas Ancelotti and Pep are on that sliding scale of Ancelotti is like let the players express themselves, Pep is like no, let the system work. Arteta's more on the Pep side of things, where the system is very important, and that all those the ozone goals with Odegaard, like he scored those goals so often because that was something they practiced in training. That the cutback would come, Odegaard would score. The cutback would come, Odegaard would score. So that's good, I think. And habits probably needed like the security of like a system. And if you jump at the back post, when Saka crosses it, you're going to score a goal. So he needed that like coaching, the coaching kind of structure around him to getting scoring goals again. But I would like to see Arteta let the attacking players express themselves a little bit more in certain
100%.
games. And I think that's something he needs to grow in. And I think also signing big players that have personalities that are considered like, big personalities. So I think that's something he obviously didn't like Aubameyang's personality, and that was a bit toxic. So there's the history of kind of working on the toxic behavior with people. But I do think if we sign a Vinicius or we sign another big player in the future, is that someone that Arteta can manage? And I think I'd just be interested to see when it's not like a sucker or someone who's come through the ranks and has like learned to be obedient to his plan. That's my only thing that we don't know yet. So I can't criticize him on that because we haven't signed that type of player yet.
So Dane, just on that point, bro, I think if you look at it, I think Arteta, I think he definitely can handle big personalities. I just think that when he came into Arsenal, he found a culture and he had to change it. When you walk into Arsenal now, no matter who you are, there's a culture. It's not about yes, you can. I think Arteta can handle stars. I think you look at Declan Rice for 100 million. He's not maybe the star player that you're thinking of, but with the entire environment Arteta has cultivated at Arsenal, it's either you have to fit in. Like even if you're a big player, like you guys look at it now, we have well-established players, international level. Saka, Rice, Saliba, Gabriel. David Raya played both games over the international break. Yes, it was the Nations League, but it shows that he's definitely on the cusp. You've got Jesus, you've got Martinelli, you've got fully fledged. Havertz is now vice captain of Germany. Fully fledged internationals who are actually big players in their own right. So if, for example, you're saying Vinicius, yes, I think Vinicius would demand a certain level of freedom, but I think he would quickly find out that the players are of a similar age to him, and the environment allows for certain things to be done. I think Arteta's okay with not signing a player, in my opinion. Like he would probably go for Isak over Vinicius purely because he feels like Isak can buy into the system more. I think you don't win yesterday's game if you don't have players that buy into your system. Do you know what I'm saying? When the chips are down, are these players willing to run through a brick wall for each other? Aubameyang wasn't that kind of player. Yes, Aubameyang scored a lot of goals for us, guys, but do you not think that, for example, where we are now as a team, as a club, Arteta did the right thing by getting rid of those big toxic personalities and now maybe looking for the current new crop, players that are still that are reaching their peaks, but are not maybe the plus out of 30. I'm keen to hear anyone's thoughts on that. Like George, like you obviously, I think you agree with Dane slightly.
No, Shane, Shannon, I think you've touched on something because, in fact, the top Dane is wearing is my top, and it's got Ozil on the back. And Ozil for me was the epitome. I'm raffling it on Sunday's game. So there's not a promo, but it just came up because I hate Ozil. Because I thought I just want to get rid of it because Ozil basically for me epitomizes that, and I think he got his fingers burnt with that. Not taking the pay cut for me was his last straw, and everyone else took a pay cut before the pandemic, whatever. And he was just he never ran back. I was in Baku and watched him slow walk off the pitch when he got subbed. He just is so lackadaisical. I think Arteta is very wary of those big star players, but also I totally agree with Dane that. It'll take. I wonder how he will do it with a big star player because Rio Ferdinand said last season about Saka. Oh, he's not. He's not truly a great player. Whatever he said. Sorry. Well I think what no one really picked up on is what we're talking about here. He's part of a system. He's much more of a humble player. I don't think Arteta plays a system-wise where we don't have those flair players. Flair players do not suit us. You know, the Ozils, the Aubameyangs. We play a system which might look boring and it might dampen some players. If that makes any sense. That's why Saka, one of the reasons don't consider it, I consider him world class as an Arsenal player, I'm sure all Arsenal fans do, but he's not considered like, you know, whatever, like a Ronaldo. It's because he hasn't got that flair. He's not, you know, he plays within a system. And what will be interesting is to see how he handles Sterling. Because Sterling, I think, is at an interesting place in his career, and he's a big player. And I think like what he showed against Tottenham is that he went, you know, like he did his old thing where he didn't pass. You know, he cut in, he got an amazing ball from Ethan Nwaneri, and then he cut his side and he was just trying to shoot, just trying to get through the defence. So it'll be interesting to see how Arteta handles him, whether he can fit the system and whether Sterling, because I love Sterling, by the way, and I think he can be a great player. And I think that'll be a good test, a big test for me in terms of big star players, whether he can bring Sterling to the system, whether he can play well for us. I think Sterling is his first big test.
Does anyone want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I think we've got a good thing going, and with regards to these guys coming through, who we might potentially get. I think I said the same thing today in this weekend when we did our, I don't remember if it was a pre or post match interview, that we genuinely need experienced players, especially in the Champions League. We need guys who are cold and are not phased by the occasion. And experience is not always your top of the tree player or player that's going to cost you 100 million. All you need is a guy that has been there and done that. And when he gets to that occasion, he's able to execute as required. Because I felt towards the end of the Champions League campaign, we didn't fall short because of quality. We fell short because of experience. And I think
100%.
this season will have learned from that, and will come in a lot stronger. I'm hoping Mourinho's that guy. There are only at this point 3 or 2 players that I can think of in this team that have that mettle, that have that cold-hearted, business-like approach to the game. And yeah, I think if we do go into the transfer window again, we need to just get that solid player that's got that nous.
100%. So actually, Rams, now obviously I'm just seeing this comment here from Mark saying he thinks Sterling will start both games coming up. That actually gives me a little bit of a segue into our next topic, guys, and that's obviously the Atalanta preview. So obviously that's Champions League game on a Thursday. Funny enough, it's kind of odd you playing Champions League on a Thursday. Now it's like Thursdays actually matter. But obviously, I'm looking at the results now. They've played 5 games this season. They've lost 3 and won 2. That's in all competitions. But in the league, they've won 2 and lost 2. And their last result was a 3-2 win at home against Fiorentina. So first Champions League game, guys, under the lights against the current Europa League champions. Dane, bro, what are your thoughts on the game? How are you feeling for the Champions League game that's now obviously on Thursday?
Yeah, I think we mustn't underestimate anyone. I think we saw with Porto, I think we were all excited about getting Porto last year in the last 16, and then the manager did a mid-block against us, and we struggled against mid-blocks last year. It was Fulham, West Ham, and Aston Villa used mid-blocks against us. So I think we might see that again from Atalanta. And the Atalanta manager, I saw a stat, he's been in the helm for 8 years. So he's very experienced with that team. So he knows his team well. Obviously just won silverware. So in Europe, he's got a pedigree. I think Arteta's he's got an FA Cup. So he's got some cup pedigree, but he hasn't really shown a huge European pedigree. I mean, we could have done better in the Europa when we were in the Europa. So I think that's definitely a place for Arteta's improvement to come in, because he's really improved in the league. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if we can compete on 2 or 3 or 4 fronts this season, and that's going to be answered very soon. I think we're going to be pragmatic again. I see another 1-0 victory against Atalanta. Either a set piece goal or a counter attack goal. So yeah, I'm predicting a close win, but I think we can do it.
Perfect. George, bro. Obviously, Dane, would you echo Dane's thoughts? We should be pragmatic, or do you think Arteta should maybe go for it? I think Atalanta. Well, if you look at the Europa League final, the way they played against Leverkusen and even against Madrid, they a team that attacks and leaves spaces. So, do you think Arsenal should be a bit of more offensive than they were yesterday, or do you think same blueprint, another away game? You know, let's just mirror the Aston Villa and the Spurs away performances.
I don't know enough about Atlanta. I saw the final, and yeah, I was impressed by them. I think, well, Kolasinac is in defence, so I'm sure we'll win 4-0. But no, I mean, it's just that's a joke. But like, I think, I think in Europe he has to be careful. I think I keep saying going to that first Bayern leg. I thought he was way too cavalier in his setup. We left out two silly mistakes. So I think he's got to be careful, and I'm almost 100% positive he's going to be very defensive. Rice is back, so I think it'll be Declan Rice. But I think he'll pack the midfield. I don't think we'll be see a lot of forward play. I think it will be a lot of defensive play. Again, the possession statistic against the Spuds really surprised me. 36%. I mean, it's the Spuds, and we only had 36% possession. I'm not complaining. I love the fact that we won, but I think against Atlanta, we'll probably away from home in Italy. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a dour defensive game, maybe 1-0, even 0-0. I can't see us being on the recent way we've been playing. I don't think. Yeah.
Rams, well, do you agree with George? Or do you think no, we'll actually see Arsenal click into gear? Maybe playing in Europe and playing against an opponent you don't usually play against might actually free up the players, and the lack of familiarity that you have with, for example, playing your Premier League team season after season might give the players a bit more impotence going forward tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, on Thursday.
Yeah, man. I really want to. I don't want to see the first team go out there. For some reason, I'm fixated on the City game, and I don't want to risk it. If I understand the format correctly, we really do not need to win this game. I'm not saying go out there and lose the game. I think it's an opportunity for Arteta to play guys like Sterling in that game. Get Ethan Nwaneri in that game. Let's not risk Odegaard coming off an injury. I think he might be ready for the City game. I'm not sure, but rather keep the key players off. I don't want to see Saka play this game as well. So for me, I think we'll still have enough in our locker to go and get the result. I think these days I'm super confident in our team, and I think we need to start trusting our squad. And these are the games where we need to do it, because we can't be playing on Thursday and playing key players that will be crucial for us in the City game. So for me, I think we need to kind of use the squad a little bit more for this game.
I kind of disagree. I think I would play not as the strongest team. I'll make a few changes. Maybe Sterling. I mean, Saka came off with cramp, so I wouldn't mind starting Sterling on the right. That's not like a drop down in quality. If Calafiori is fit, maybe you can play him. Give Tumba a bit of a break. Maybe play Tumba centre back. Give Saliba a rest. Bring him back in Declan Rice. Rest Thomas Partey. Play Jorginho in the six. Maybe give Waneri a start in that midfield as the left eight. I think that. I'm not saying that we need to, like, I agree with you, Rams. Champions League format has changed. It's more of a league format. But I think momentum, especially after you won against Spurs, how I see it, I think the players, I think the mentality, for example, if you lose like on Sunday, like yesterday, I think you immediately go into the Atalanta game on Thursday and you overthink things that you'd normally do. That's how you get injured. I think a win is just a confidence boost. I think the players are going to go out there on Thursday confident, like, you know what, we're in a good moment. Let's keep it going. When the chips were stacked against us, according to everybody, that we wouldn't get a win against Spurs, we go and do it. You go and beat Atalanta, and then you go to City fresh. In a sense, not fresh maybe physically, but I think fresh mentally, to be like, if you are able to beat Spurs, beat Atalanta, you go into that City game like unreal dopamine. You're going off a high, because I think if you go into that Atalanta game and you lose, listen, losing is not a good thing. For example, I know you didn't say that, Rams, but I don't want to risk us
I'm,
losing and then
I'm still
and there
trying to
being
find the part where you disagree with me. I'm still trying to figure that part out.
oh no, but what I'm saying is that you said you'd make maybe a bit more of wholesale changes and you wouldn't risk it. I'm saying I don't think that. I think Arteta play your strongest team. If your strongest team is still, in your opinion, Sterling in for Saka and Saliba on the bench, and that's your strongest team that you think, go for it. I don't want to think. I don't want to see, for example, Miles Lewis Skelly suddenly playing, and now you playing. Trying to shift too many things. Keep the games going. I guarantee City they'll make a few changes, but Haaland starts during the week. I guarantee you that Haaland does not sit on the bench. De Bruyne starts. You know what I'm saying? That's where I think Pep. He's just like, you know what, go for it because the momentum is there. If they get a big win in the Champions League during the weekend, we do as well. Both teams come on confidence. But if you lose, different competition. But I just think the talk rumbles up again. We're in a moment now where there was adversity. Let's keep it going. Let's keep that high going. Let's not try tinker and maybe then risk it going down again. But yeah, but you,
Yeah,
you can.
I think we're pretty much on the same page. I was talking more towards the players that we really want to see play, like your Calafiori. I'm not alluding to changing the entire makeup of the team. I'm just saying that
Okay,
we
understood.
can leverage some of the players that we kind of got on the fringes that haven't played yet. Use them in this game and protect. We're a bit fragile right now. We can't afford to lose any more players. You know,
Mhm.
we need to kind of utilize those guys and get them in the team, get them to understand the way we play. And these are the games where you do it. And the risk for me is a bit high if we start putting guys like Saka in that game and Odegaard coming off injury. Doesn't make sense to me. So I think we rather focus on the City game. I know we always say take it game by game, but we also need to be strategic in the way we approach this. Because for me, the Premier League is the most achievable accolade that we can get this season.
100%, bro. So like I think with like where we are in the season is just it's such a again, if this wasn't City on the weekend, I'm okay with like almost making more changes, and the result doesn't really matter that much to me. But it's just like with City, I think you want to have every single psychological and physical edge that you can possibly have. Like if you can go into the City game having won 2 games after international break, both away from home, that just puts you in a more confident mind state. I
100%.
would love for us to go and get a 2-0 win at Atalanta, another clean sheet. Raya and the defenders are on form. Then you got your Declan Rices that are back in. Sterling's got more minutes in his legs. Jesus gets more minutes during the week. Hopefully Zinchenko is back. Calafiori. Then we just even I just want us to tick a lot of boxes this week in terms of our performance, the injuries that we or players we get back from injury. I want us to go into both games this week with not the same cloud that hung over us against Spurs. When we went into the Spurs game yesterday, there was a whole lot of talk of, do Arsenal have enough in depth? Can they do it without Odegaard? Can they do it without Rice? I want us to go into these next 2 games with people saying, we've got our players back. We've just beaten Spurs. Can we now pick up momentum? So, yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts on Atalanta tomorrow. I think, on Thursday. I think it'll be a very tough game. They have to be respected. They are Europe, well, princes of Europe, as they would say after winning the Europa League. And then you mentioned, a manager that's been there for about 8 years in Gasperini. That's what 3 years more than Arteta, and he finally won something with them. I think we just have to go into Europe with a structured game plan that allows us to like Ramsey saying, not get any injuries, but also somehow pick up the result at the same time. If you can kill the game first half, great. Then take off Saka, in my opinion. That's what I would do instead of not starting him. That's just me.
Yeah,
So
I'll
George, bro.
jump in there.
Oh yeah, then definitely you can jump in.
Yeah, I kind of agree with a bit of both of you. I think I would rest Saka so that we can have him for. I would put him on the bench and play Sterling at right wing. I saw an interesting piece analyzing Sterling's numbers in the 3 different positions: left wing, right wing, and centre forward. Um, and he scored a lot of goals at centre forward. Actually, if you compare his goals in the 3 different positions, obviously you'd score more at centre forward. But it might be interesting to start him at right wing and then move him to the centre and give someone like Havertz a rest and then give Saka a rest in the first half. And I agree, maybe give Saliba a rest and put Kivio on there. So yeah, I think it's worth using our squad. I think it's like we must use our squad in the group stages for the first stage before we get to the knockout stage. Because when we get to the knockout stage, then you're going to want to be using your first team. And we're
The
playing
strongest
PSG
team.
after
Yeah.
this, so I think we're going to need to have a stronger team for the PSG game. So I would say not making huge changes, but just one or two here, or maybe like 2 or 3 changes. That's what I would go for.
100%, guys. So now I think we've got a clear idea of how everybody's feeling for the game. I think it's time to get some predictions in. George, since you're the guest of honor, I think we're going to go with you first, bro. What's your prediction for Thursday's game?
Um, I don't know enough about Atlanta to give a prediction, but I agree with what's been said. I think Dane's right. I think he'll tinker. Champions League is too important, and every team can come at you. And I think winning our first game in this strange new format is important. So I don't know, man. 1-0 to the Arsenal. There you go.
Dane, let's go to you, bro. You're gonna stick with your 1-0 that you said earlier?
Yeah, I think 1-0. I think it'll happen. I even predicted that before when I predicted the 1-1, because I looked at the 5 fixtures, I thought we would draw with City and Spurs and then beat Atalanta. So I just had that feeling. But I think after the way we played and the way we, did so well with such little possession and was so pragmatic, I think we'll do the same in Italy. And I still haven't really kind of thought about changing my opinion on the City game, but I think we'll have to make that call after the Atalanta game.
100%. And then Rams, bro. The guys are going with 1-0 to the Arsenal game. What are your thoughts? Do you agree, bro?
Yeah, I just saw Busisso's chat, and he's got them up 2-0, and I think I'm gonna agree with him. We also need to learn or kind of understand who we are right now. We are not some Mickey Mouse team anymore. We've got the defensive awareness to kind of deal with opposition like this. I think we've learned a lot from the last season's experience. We're not going in there thinking that we're going to win without actually putting in the work. So I think we'll do well. We'll get 2-0, and we'll display again who we are, and we'll show them that we the Arsenal, and we're going to take this one out for.
Okay, so it looks we got George with 1-0.
Can I just say, I'm not sure about the prediction of my score. I'm a bit dubious, but I'll tell you what, Kolasinac should score an own goal. There you go. That I'm sure. That's my bet.
Now, listen, like I said, guys, I don't care. In the next 2 games, I don't care who scores. I just need us to score and win. So I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 win to Arsenal. I think they're going to be at home. Their fans are going to be gassed. They're in the Champions League. So I don't expect them not to score. But I do think that we will have enough, not necessarily just only going forward, but set pieces and that thing. And also, I don't see us conceding more than 1 goal. It'll really shock me if we did, because I don't think there's anything showing me that we are leaky. So I would hate for us to start conceding a lot of goals before City. That's the one thing I don't want to see. I don't want City to give. I want City to look at us and be like, damn it, they're still not conceding. Haaland must have nightmares of going up against Saliba and Gabriel again. So I think that's why I think this game is so important to me. Spurs was important for the start of the momentum. The Atalanta game is important because it's before City, and then City is important because obviously it's a 6-pointer. So I'm just going to go around this with the scores again. We've got George and Dane predicting 1-0 to the Arsenal. We've got Rams that's predicting a 2-0, who's agreeing with Sibo Siso here in the comments. And then I have gone with a 2-1 away win for Arsenal.
I'm going to change. Sorry, I'm going to change it 1-1. I'm going to change it 1-1. I think it's a different beast. 1-1 away from home.
Okay. So there we go, guys. You've got the updated score. So 2-1 to me as for Arsenal win. Dane's going with the 1-0 to the Arsenal. George, hopefully, is settling on the 1-1 draw in Italy on Thursday, and Rams going with a let's say, a confident 2-0 win for Arsenal on Thursday. We got some comments here. We got Antares who's saying 3-0 to Arsenal. Listen, bro, if we do 3-0 against Atalanta on Thursday, I think we will be very confident of how we play against City. I think as Arsenal fans, we kind of I wouldn't call that we reserved. I just think we understand where we are. Like, for example, if Arsenal draw on Thursday, I'm not upset. If I'm making it, this also depends on the man.
I think we lost Shannon.
Can I just say, there's a Ronaldo Brown. I think we got a fox in the hen pen who's saying 2-0 to Atlanta. So I don't know if Ronaldo, you're an Arsenal fan, but yeah, or a very depressed Arsenal fan, or not enough.
Yeah, yeah. I think George, you should take notes from Dane. He had us drawing against who's this Spurs this weekend. So don't be a doubting Dane.
Really.
Yeah, say it with your chest. We're beating these guys. We Arsenal FC.
You know, if it was Premier League, I'd say yeah, I'll be confident. But Europe, I just want to see what Arteta does. So I'm going to be cautious for the first one. A sound 1-1 draw away from home, first game. I think I'll take that. I'd be happy with that, by the way, as well. I think that'd be a good result away from home against Europa League finalists.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that, guys. I
Yeah,
apologize, everybody.
it fell apart, man. Me and Dane started shouting at each other. It was awful without you. Where have you been? We needed you,
But yeah,
man.
guys, listen. Like I said, you know, you see, I got Ronaldo here. This is one of the guys in my other group chat. He's a big Man United fan, saying 2-0 to Atalanta.
We spoke
You
about
know, listen. Oh, okay, cool. Like I said, guys, I think this is a big week for Arsenal. It's not season defining, but it's very much a huge moment in the season. You know, if we can look back at April and we are on the cusp of winning the league, and you look back and we've been unbeaten in this first 5 games, considering the opponents and the injuries and etc that we've gone through, I think we will really look back at this past 2 months very fondly. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this wonderful stream. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great to get George on the panel, you know, for his debut on Golden Guna TV. As always, we had my main Dane there in the top right hand corner, and then obviously Rams there in the just below him. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Definitely will look to have you guys on the streams again. People, let me know who you'd like to see on the streams going forward. Guys, it's been an honor. It's Golden Guna TV, and as always, it's good to be a Guna. Cheers, guys.
awesome. Thanks a lot. Really
Let's do
appreciate
a
it.
big City